the shuttle hissed open. Cadets spilled out in waves of polished armor, gleaming crests, and booming voices. Kael Voss stepped out last, swallowed in the crowd like a shadow in the glow. He stood at barely 5'3". His uniform sleeves were cuffed twice over. His boots clacked awkwardly on the metal floor, too new, too light. "Is that a cadet or someone's emotional support pet?" a Makthar snorted nearby. Kael didn't flinch. He scanned the colossal lobby of the Galactic Peace Academy, hollow and echoing like a cathedral of steel. Alien banners draped from ceiling to floor, each stitched with war emblems and bloodied honors. This wasn't peace. This was a coliseum dressed in diplomacy. "Cadets, welcome," the voice of Commander Illith boomed overhead, projected from a 10-story hollow. "You are the finest the galaxy has produced. You will be tested, not just in knowledge, but in war, morality, and survival. Failure is fatal. But not in the way you think." Kael clutched his bag tighter. It wasn't the warning that unsettled him. It was how many cadets smiled at the word fatal. Dormitory Block 9B. Kael's room was the top bunk above a reptilian Varish with 6 arms and a body temperature that nearly boiled the walls. No one asked him to join their squad. No one invited him to eat. He ate protein slop alone, sitting on the edge of the mess hall barrier, watching simulated meteor showers flicker in the fake sky. He trained alone too. The gym's AI barely registered his weight during lifts. The weapons room denied him access to high-caliber arms until he manually bypassed the lock and rewrote the biometric access on a borrowed datapad. Every second he spent dodging sneers, he memorized terrain layouts, studied tactical histories, and simulated ancient Earth warfare in his neural implant. The Arena Zero-Sim calibration test. It started as a joke. Zarnak Vrol, a top-ranked Makthar cadet, lumbered into the sim pod like a god of war. His scaled arms bore ritual scars. His voice roared over the arena as the cadets gathered for the first official simulation. "Let's see the human runt try not to cry." Laughter erupted. Even the trainers didn't bother hiding their grins. Kael stepped into the pod across from Zarnak, silent. The neural interface hissed into place. He whispered only one thing as the helmet sealed. "Run it." Simulation, Urban Warzone, difficulty, lethal, players, 14. Kael emerged into ruin. Towers were half collapsed, the air thick with virtual dust and electric tension. The others dropped in across the grid. In 10 seconds, 2 Varish were down. Kael had rerouted a decoy drone to trigger a proximity mine they hadn't seen. He moved like vapor, low, precise, silent. At 30 seconds, he used a reflection pulse to fake gunfire in an alley. A Makthar squad moved in aggressively. A second trap, a pair of gravity mines stitched into a support beam, collapsed half the street. 3 eliminations. By minute 3, Kael had 7 kills. He hadn't fired a single bullet. Zarnak's voice echoed in the local comms. "Face me, coward." Kael smiled. Not cruelly. Calmly. "I'm not here to entertain you." Spectator Lounge, reality. The cadets stared at the live feed. In every corner of the war sim, Kael's image flickered, brief, deadly, unstoppable. One instructor leaned forward. "He's playing chess in a knife fight." Another muttered, This isn't human doctrine." "No," said the third. "It's better." Final minute of simulation. Zarnak burst through a wall, plasma axe in hand. Kael had let him get close. Very close. A narrow hallway, Kael backed in, seemingly cornered. "Nowhere left to run," Zarnak snarled. "I wasn't trying to escape." Kael activated a magnetic charge, an old Earth trick. The Makthar's metal plating ripped against the walls. He stumbled just enough. Kael lunged forward, slid beneath, and jammed a neuropulse blade into the weak spot behind the ribs. Simulation blinked red. Target eliminated. Kill confirmed. Simulation ended, Makthar commander neutralized. Debriefing hall. Silence. Kael exited the sim pod, steam rising from the neural ports on his neck. The cadets stared as he walked past. Even the instructors were quiet, except for one who tapped a console. Voss, your kill count, 11. Highest ever recorded in a first-year trial. You broke a record that stood for 80 years. Kael didn't smile. They were predictable. A moment later, the hall exploded into whispers. Some in awe. Others in disbelief. A few in fury. Zarnak stormed past, blood still leaking from his nostrils. He shoulder-checked Kael hard. The smaller cadet didn't budge. I'm not done with you, Zarnak hissed. Kael looked up, eyes calm, voice even. You were never in it. That night, Kael sat alone again, back against the dorm window, staring at the stars. His body ached. Not from the simulation, but from the burden now placed on him. He wasn't invisible anymore. And that was more dangerous than being mocked. The name Kael Voss spread through the academy like plasma through snow. A week ago, no one knew it. Now, it was whispered in multiple languages, some with respect, some with fear, many with bitterness. The headlines didn't help. Tiny Death God breaks record. Human cadet outsmarts Makthar champion in Zero Sim. Kael Voss, fluke or future? The spotlight had arrived. Kael hated it. Training Hall, Week 2. Kael stood alone at the gravity range, targeting synthetic drones with unorthodox timing patterns. While others practiced with precision rifles or brute-heavy launchers, Kael used dual silencers with motion dampers. Small. Fast. Quiet. Behind him, the murmurs returned. That's the one, hissed a Vurish cadet. Doesn't look like much, another sneered. Zarnak nearly crushed his skull last week. Nearly. Kael fired 3 shots. 3 drones collapsed midair. He holstered both pistols in one fluid motion. You gonna stand there whispering or train? He asked, not turning. The voices stopped. Footsteps retreated. Simulation prep hall. Kael sat at his terminal, eyes scanning Zero Sim battle telemetry. Coordinates didn't match standard sim rotations. Energy spikes in the footage were irregular, too chaotic, too real. One scene showed a collapsing bridge. Debris pattern matched real-world architecture. That shouldn't happen in simulation. He narrowed his eyes. The metadata was encrypted, but the timestamps showed microdelays. A human might miss them. Kael didn't. Something's off, he muttered. Talking to yourself already? Kael turned. Zarnak stood at the terminal next to him, his grin all teeth and contempt. I figured after I humiliated you, you'd switch to farming sims, Kael said dryly. Zarnak's smile faltered. You didn't beat me. You tricked me. No honor in that. You were expecting a duel. I gave you a war. Zarnak's knuckles cracked. Careful, little man. You're drawing lines you can't cross. I don't draw lines. I erase them. Instructor's office, later. Kael entered unannounced. Instructor Rin, a Terran-Vurish hybrid, raised an eyebrow. You bypassed 3 access locks to get in here, Voss. Kael placed a datapad on the desk. The sim logs aren't simulations. Rin didn't speak. Just stared. Kael tapped the screen. Watch this. The feed replayed a battle Kael had participated in. When a cadet fired a missile, Kael had noticed an explosion that wasn't coded in-game. It reacted to nearby structures differently, like actual physics, not script. He slowed the frame, revealing fragments of organic matter in the blast wave. Real bodies. Rin sighed. Leave this alone. So you do know. I said leave it. Kael leaned forward. We're not just training, are we? Silence. We're being used, he said. Zero Sim is live-feeding real combat zones. We're killing people. You're wrong. Kael raised an eyebrow. Then prove it. Let me see the source data. I can't. Kael stared at him. Or won't. Squad assembly, 3 days later. The Academy announced a new tier, full squad battle, mixed species cohorts. Kael was assigned to Squad Theta 12. No elite members. All unranked or underperforming cadets. Dead weight. Or so everyone thought. Great, said Renza, a frail Martian clone with tremoring hands. We're doomed. Kael studied the terrain model. An arid wasteland with magnetic anomalies and visibility drops every 90 seconds. Not doomed, he said. We just fight like humans. You mean irrationally? Renza asked. No. Unexpectedly. Zero Sim, Squad Engagement, Squad Theta 12 versus Omega Prime. The match began. Omega Prime, an elite unit led by Zarnak, dropped in hard and fast. They expected chaos. They got silence. Kael had rigged sonic decoys to mimic squad chatter and false locations. While Omega chased phantoms, Kael guided Theta 12 through magnetic shadow zones. Renza set up pressure mines in their escape paths. A rogue AI pilot hijacked by Kael dropped nanodrones mid-match, targeting enemy comms. In 12 minutes, Omega Prime was disoriented, fragmented, and completely surrounded. Final score, Theta 12 victory, 6-0. Zarnak was the last to fall, paralyzed by a virus in his HUD. Kael had coded on a private subroutine. Post-match briefing. This is a fix, Zarnak shouted. He cheated. Kael tossed a small cube onto the table. Footage. Every action. Every move. Clean. Legal. Smart. The instructor reviewed it. After 10 silent minutes, she said, approved. Clean sweep. Gasps rippled. Renza fainted. The room broke into chaotic noise, some cheering, some furious. But Kael wasn't smiling. He wasn't there for praise. Later that night, Kael sat on his bunk, replaying the battle on his tablet. He paused the footage at a key moment, a plasma strike that took down an Omega member. The body didn't fade like simulated corpses. It burned, real flames, real scream. That wasn't simulation code. Kael ran the frame again, pixel by pixel. There, bottom left corner, a time-stamped string blinking, live feed, sector S9 Delta. His hands curled into fists. Secret message. Kael encoded a silent message and uploaded it into the sim logs. The message pulsed in binary. We are not training. We are fighting someone's war. Why? Final scene. Kael stood alone in the observation dome, watching incoming cadet transports approach. More fresh recruits. More pawns. Zarnak stood behind him, silent for once. I should hate you, he said. You do, Kael replied. But I watched that footage. That wasn't just tactics. That was survival. Kael turned. Because someone's playing God. And we're the weapons. Zarnak frowned. You're going to keep digging? Kael's voice was low. Cold. Unafraid. I already started. And I don't stop. The final announcement came at dawn. All cadets report to Arena Corps. Death Gauntlet simulation begins in 1 hour. Mandatory. There were no cheers this time. No excitement. The name alone, Death Gauntlet, carried a weight it hadn't before. Kael Voss sat in the prep chamber, silent, his fingers tapping slowly on the datapad. His brows furrowed. The encrypted files he'd extracted from the simulator's core revealed the truth in ruthless clarity. The simulations were not simulations. Each match streamed live from real war zones across outer colonies and conflict sectors, labeled Blackfield theaters. Cadets weren't practicing. They were executing missions. Every shot. Every kill. Every tactical strike had consequences no one told them about. Observation deck, moments later. Zarnak approached from behind, no armor this time, just a dark training suit and a hard stare. You going in? I don't have a choice, Kael replied without turning. Zarnak folded his arms. You could walk away. Refuse. They'll silence you, sure, but you'll live. I don't care about living if it means letting this continue. Zarnak didn't respond right away. Finally, he asked, what's your plan? Kael stood. End it. Arena Core, Death Gauntlet begins. The stadium was massive. Sim walls reshaped in real time, generating urban ruins, collapsed stations, irradiated swamps, an evolving labyrinth of death. 20 cadets entered. Only one would exit. The audience, commanders, instructors, off-world diplomats, watched from sealed booths. Kael moved fast, low to the ground, avoiding initial bloodshed. Explosions echoed around him. He didn't flinch. He had one goal, reach the command nexus, a concealed control module buried beneath the arena, disguised as an old maintenance bay. He traced its location through decrypted sim logs. It was the broadcast core. Expose the war. Show them everything. 10 minutes in. 6 cadets down. Zarnak was still alive. So was Kael. Kael darted through smoke and debris, firing only to disable, not kill. He moved with surgical intent. A blast took out a wall ahead, revealing 2 commandos in mock-varish gear. They weren't cadets. Kael blinked. Real soldiers. He ducked behind cover as the first opened fire, live rounds, not stun pulses. He tapped his comms. Zarnak. Confirm. We've got non-cadets in the field. Zarnak's voice was low. I see them. They're not here to play. Kael growled under his breath. It's not a simulation anymore. It's a cleanup. Breach, command nexus. Kael reached the maintenance shaft and dropped inside. Metal groaned beneath him. The air was stale. Lights flickered erratically. He found the control console. It was locked behind 7 firewalls. He connected his modified datapad, bypassing 3 in seconds. The 4th pushed back, hard. Military-grade AI. He didn't stop. Up above, the arena rumbled with cannon fire. Screams echoed faintly. The system pinged, access granted. He opened the live feed queue. Over 50 battlefronts appeared. Real locations. Civilian populations. Black Ops teams in unmarked armor. Cadet identifiers tagged as friendly assets. All of it logged. All of it hidden. He activated Emergency Broadcast Protocol 99 Delta. Arena, surface. A burst of light erupted overhead. Every screen across the academy flickered. The battle paused as feeds across all levels were overridden. Kael's voice, calm and direct, echoed from every terminal. This is Cadet Kael Voss. What you're watching is not training. It never was. We've been used, each sim was a live operation, with real casualties. Real blood. Real death. They turned us into soldiers without telling us. Without asking. He uploaded the video logs. The deaths. The screams. The off-grid commands. Faces of warlords laughing behind sealed rooms. The academy froze. The truth was viral. Emergency sirens blared. Commanders scrambled. Diplomats stormed out of their booths. And still, the death gauntlet continued, unpaused. Kael had triggered the exposure, but the system still ran the original directive. Zarnak found him in the Nexus, panting, half-burnt from a plasma detonation above. They locked the system into endgame protocol, he said. Only one winner, no override. Kael handed him a pulse detonator. Then let's cheat. Final stand. Together, Kael and Zarnak turned the arena into a trap. Kael rerouted corridor turrets. Zarnak lured the remaining cadets into choke points, warning them to disable weapons, save themselves. Kael faced the final adversary, a Makthar commando, not a cadet, real armor, real orders. The operative lunged. Kael ducked, countered, and plunged a blade into the commando's helmet. Blood sprayed. Real. He stood, trembling. The arena went dark. Aftermath. 3 days passed. The Galactic Union convened an emergency session. GPA operations were suspended. A full audit launched. Kael stood before the Senate, flanked by 2 security drones. He didn't ask for a lawyer. A hologram replayed his transmission. The senator, an aged Brillian, asked, "Why didn't you come to us first?" Kael's eyes were steady. "Because you wouldn't have listened. You needed the truth carved into your screens." A pause. "Do you regret your actions?" "I regret not doing it sooner." 1 week later. Kael returned to Earth under protection. His kill count, 61 confirmed. More than any cadet in recorded history. But he never boasted. Never smiled. A journalist asked, "What do you want to be remembered for?" Kael looked into the camera. "For being the first to say no. They mocked me for being small. Turns out, they just had small minds."